Good morning. It's Monday, and as promised, I'm going to continue with a series of videos to tell you a little bit about our trip to the Holy Land. Once again, if you like these videos, I really would appreciate if you would share it, like it, and just be a follower of my YouTube channel. So after one day of travel, which I think I mentioned last time, which was pretty long and engaging, we left at 2 a.m. On Monday morning from the church, and we got a bus ride to New Orleans, flew to Chicago, layover, flew to Munich, layover, flew to Tel Aviv, then got our luggage, got on a bus, and got to our hotel. And the next morning, which I have it as in my log as day 2, but it's actually day 1 of the pilgrimage, we went to Caesarea Maritima, which is, we went through Netanya in northern Israel, and this was the site of one of Herod's great palaces. He built this city on the Mediterranean Sea, and we got to see the marvel of Roman engineering. Much of the palace is still in place. Amazing. And we actually got to see the actual, where the chariot rides, you might remember Ben-Hur, the chariot rides, how that part of it is still intact. Then they converted that same place to a place where they fed the Christians to the lions. It's right on the sea. It's absolutely beautiful. Learned some remarkable things. You know, Herod was one of these guys that was a great builder. He also was paranoid because he was always trying to protect his interest in his position. And but he was opulent. He was very, very opulent. And one of the things that the Romans were known for were these baths. And what we learned was you hear many of the stories about these emperors dying with weird diseases, or going crazy in the brain, or all this kind of stuff. Well, it turns out that they line these bath pools with lead. And the theory is that a lot of them suffered from lead poisoning. Just an amazing little tidbit that you learn, when you're over there. Be it, the locals just know it, or they don't want to record that in history, or whatever. Then we went, amazingly, we went down to Mount Carmel. And Mount Carmel is situated near Haifa, which is a beautiful port city. And you can see the port city from there. On Mount Carmel, there's a monastery, and it's that hill where Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal. Remember, Jezebel was the queen, and she had brought the Baals in, the fake gods, and she had prophets for him, and he challenged them. And there was, 800 or something of them, and he said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put your sacrifice on the altar, and you call down your God and see if he'll take care of, engulfing the sacrifice in flames. And they put the sacrifice there, and all these prophets are dancing around and doing all this kind of stuff. And you got to hear the tour guide explain it. It's really hysterical the way he says it. And it is funny in the gospel too, how he says he made fun of them, and he says, maybe your God's asleep. Go a little bit louder so you wake him up, or maybe he's on vacation. Call him back, And they cut themselves and all this kind of stuff, and nothing. So he goes over here and builds an altar with 12 stones for the 12 tribes. He totally, to infuriate these prophets, he pours water on it. He builds a trough. He makes it almost impossible for his bull to be consumed by fire. And he gets on his knees and he prays to God. And a lightning bolt comes from the sky, fire, and it engulfs the sacrifice. And of course, then they know that his God is real. So then he chases the prophets, the false prophets, down the river. And when you're standing on the hill where this happened and you're looking down toward the water, the little river where it is, he chased him down and actually slaughtered all these false prophets. Jezebel was furious, threatened to get him, and he had to run away. So where he runs is to this other mountain, which is down the way, which was the second mountain that we went to. And there's actually a monastery there called Stella Maris Monastery. And this is where the cloistered Mt Carmel nuns are. You can hear them chanting when you go into the church at the monastery. It's beautiful. It's also where they make the brown scapulas. And I left one part out when we were at the Mt Carmel. We had Mass, and Father invested everybody that wanted to be invested in the brown scapula, which is this, which is a symbol of being committed to praying to Our Lady of Mt Carmel. And I've been wearing it for many, many years, but everybody that didn't have a brown scapula got one and got the prayer of investment in it. And it turns out, I learned yesterday that where my son works at the cathedral in Lafayette, the fourth graders in their school each get a brown scapula and get invested in a brown scapula. Amazing how across the water there's continuity. So anyway, at this hill where this monastery is, this is where you might know the story that Elijah was looking for God. He was fearful, he was afraid because Jezebel was after him, and he looked for God in the fire, he looked for God in the earthquake, he looked for God, and God was in none of those. And finally, he goes out and he hears the voice of God in the whisper. And it's through there that he gets told by God, what to do and where to go and all that sort of thing. It was just an incredible visit to start off the day with the Roman part, the Mount Carmel part, which is an Old Testament Elijah part. We're still not getting to the New Testament yet, but when we left there, we drove to Tiberias, which is in Galilee, and we checked into our hotel, which was on the Sea of Galilee, which was absolutely fabulous. We had dinner, and we went out, and there's a swimming pool on the Sea of Galilee, and some people got in the pool and cooled off and different things. It was just amazing. And I'll start with giving you a hint for tomorrow, which is when we woke up. Everybody woke up at the time that sunrise was, and we could look out the glass door of our room, and we were overlooking the sunrise that came up across the Sea of Galilee. More about that day tomorrow. Once again, we went to the 10 days trip to the Holy Land. It was absolutely phenomenal, and it reinforces the reality, number one, of the Gospels. And the particular guide that we had a degree in architecture, and he also had some phenomenal insights, and he provided a unique perspective on some of these things. So I hope that everyone is doing well. I hope that your faith is being invigorated by these talks that we'll continue to do, because I believe that faith, hope, and charity, the three virtues, will guide us to a closer relationship with our Lord. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and like the video, share the video, and if you want to send some feedback, you can private message me, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. God bless. Take care.